Recording in progress. So welcome everybody to the, I think, Suman, correct me if I'm wrong, this may be the first Dallas-Fort Worth user group of 2022.
Yes, it is.
It is indeed. So welcome everybody. And we've got Sumesh coming in as well. So we have a really exciting session for you this evening. Yeah, this is a session that's it's difficult to do because not everybody has access to LDAP and SAML, and we can read about it and we can watch videos about it. But here we're actually going to be involved in doing the doing. It's quite exciting. We might even have a part 2, who knows? But that's kind of cool. So who we have leading here tonight? We have myself. So my name is Liam Cummins. I run the Splunk user group over there in London, and also now running this user group with the amazing Suman Kajavalli. And Suman, congratulations, since the last meeting has been confirmed as a member of Splunk Trust, which is rather incredible. It's a great place to be, but it's the beginning place. It's the start, it's not the end. It's the start. So congratulations on that one. So Suman has been running this user group for quite some time. I've just started to come in as a co-leader this month, and we'll work in tandem to make sure we're getting these user groups out every month, and we can publish what we're going to be doing ahead of time. And of course, anybody on the call today or listening, please feel free to suggest the topic you want covered, or indeed if you want to present, hey, you're more than welcome. It's totally fantastic. So on deck today, we have two very special people who have absolutely worked their socks off to get this session in play. It's not easy to do the sessions. It might be 30 minutes, but it takes an incredible amount of hours to make it happen, to make the magic sauce work. We have Logan Carter, and Logan is a Splunk engineer for Bits.io, and Logan is on the track actually for Splunk core consultant. So a lot of knowledge being gained, and God bless everybody, there's a lot of knowledge being shared. We also have on deck tonight Dustin Church, who's also following the same path that Logan. The two guys have been working together in some study clubs we run here in Bits.io, and it's the fruit we're getting from the trees is incredible. Tonight will be no exception. If anybody has any questions, feel free to shout them out. Look, we can do a Q&A at the end. If there's anything burning, the guys won't mind if you want to say, hey, you know, what's that about? But
yeah, or if you don't want to, speak up, there is the chat option. So feel free to use the chat option. We'll see it, and we'll try and answer your questions.
Yeah, and it's flexible as well. You know, the session we anticipate will be a 30-minute demo. Good afternoon, Drew. You're very welcome. You're just at the beginning, so perfect timing. Yeah, it could be 30 minutes. We're flexible. If there's something burning and you want to see something else, we can look to accommodate that. But Suman, do you want to maybe say hello to people as well as the esteemed co-leader and Splunk Trust member of the Fort Worth user group?
Yeah, definitely. Welcome, everyone. This is the first one for this year. I'm really excited. And I think one thing I would like to do is publish future topics in advance. That way you guys know what's coming up. I'd like to share the wealth of knowledge that I have and my colleagues have at Bits.io. So looking forward to doing these more. And thank you all for joining. And then really excited to be the Splunk Trust member. Thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully soon we might actually see you on camera wearing the fez in a second as well. We got to make it real. Yes. But ultimately, we're here to serve. We're here to serve. Whatever it takes, we will make it happen. So let me just stop sharing, and we'll just get up the videos here. Suman, you got your fez on. Congratulations. So we're going to hand over the stage to Logan and Dustin. I think Logan's going to do the screen share. Have a great session. If there's any questions, please let us know. You can ask in the chat. Keep it till the end. Maybe even step in. Everybody's more than welcome, however you want to play it. Logan, sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Liam. Yeah, Dustin and I, we're really excited to have this opportunity to present to you guys today. of course, leave questions in the chat. We'll do our best to answer. We might not know the answer, but we're definitely eager to learn amongst each other. So like Aleem said, today we'll be covering the topic of configuring LDAP and SAML and Splunk. So we'll kind of go over the agenda real quick. We're just going to do some quick introductions so you can be familiar with who we are. There will be a LDAP walkthrough, a SAML walkthrough, and then of course, questions. So I'm going to introduce myself first, and then I'm going to turn it over to Dustin. He's going to be doing the LDAP today. And then once he's done, I'll take back control and show you guys the Splunk SAML configuration. So I'm located in Huntsville, Alabama. The background is the Space and Rocket Center. Huntsville is also known as Rocket City, USA. So there's a lot of NASA, rocket stuff here in Huntsville. It's a big tech city. So I graduated from school with applied statistics. So Splunk isn't really my background. The IT stuff is new to me. The networking stuff, if I can learn it, anybody can learn it. I joined Bits.io last year in May. Prior to that, I worked for Boeing here in Huntsville. But I wanted to do something different. And actually, Suman had a post on LinkedIn, and I reached out to him. And this has been an amazing year. It's pushed me to my limits. I'm doing things I never thought I would be doing. So it's a great company. And just some hobbies of mine. I own a house, and we have actually renovated every room except for the guest bathroom. So I spend a lot of my time doing that. And one day I'm hoping to own a FJ40 to restore as well. So Dustin, I'll switch it off to you.
Hey everybody, my name is Dustin Church. I am a Splunk engineer currently working with Bits.io. My background is technology enthusiast, I think is the best way to describe it. I've been working in IT for over 20 years. I've played with a lot of cool technology. Started out working desk side support and worked my way up through systems administration and business analysis to software development and all kinds of fun stuff. I really enjoy solving problems and using technology to do it and make people's lives easier. As far as hobbies go, I like house plants, aquariums, planted aquariums especially. I like to cook things, and I really like to build things with Lego. I'm an engineer through and through. That's pretty much all about me. From here, I'm going to take you guys through a walkthrough of LDAP. LDAP stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. It is actually an open source protocol that was developed a long time ago. Most people really didn't know anything about it until Microsoft latched onto it and developed Active Directory in 2000. Since then, it's been pretty much the de facto standard for identity management in corporate networks. It's a good way to establish groups and users and set up hierarchical inheritance and all kinds of fun stuff like that. There's a link here on the bottom of this slide that we'll share out at the end. You guys can use to go read more about LDAP if you would like to learn more. One thing about LDAP and SAML here, we'll show you guys how to configure it, but most people in the Splunk world, unless you're working in a consultant role and building systems on a regular basis, you'll never see this part of the platform. You'll get a job working for an existing company where this is already configured and you inherit it and you kind of maintain it, but you may never have the opportunity to actually set it up. So that's part of the reason we wanted to walk you through how it works here today, give you a chance to kind of see it soup to nuts. With that, if you'll let me share, Logan.
Yep.
Desktop one. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I have a couple things going on right now. Let's see. Oops, sorry. On this, I've got this to another screen. Sorry about that. I've got a fresh Splunk install over here with just the admin account set up. If we go into users, you'll see that's all I've got. And on another screen here, I've got a Windows Active Directory system that I've stood up. And here I've got wandernet.local is the domain. I've created a Splunk OU organizational unit. It's a fancy word for folder in Active Directory. By default, these are called containers, and the icon indicates that these are different. You can't modify default ADSI attributes of default containers. So best practice when you're dealing with Active Directory is to create your own containers and organizational units to organize things that aren't included out of the box. So created the Splunk OU, and under here I've got groups. I mimicked the structure for authentication built into Splunk with an admin group, a power group, and a users group. And I've created 3 user accounts, one for Logan, one for myself, and one for our study group. So from here, let's go to groups. Let me save that until later. This will make sense in a minute. There we go. From within Splunk, if we go to authentication methods, you'll see this screen. And from here, if we select LDAP, we'll get the option to configure it. From here, you'll see we've got no LDAP strategies defined. Let's go ahead and define one. Give it a name. We'll call it demo. The host, in a perfect world, you would have an FQDN, a fully qualified domain name, but since we're using a lab environment, we're going to go ahead and use just the IP address. I'm actually hosting this on a little Intel NUC on the top of a file cabinet in the other room in my house. So you guys are going to get to see my home public IP address. By default, the port that LDAP communicates is 389. One caveat, for this demo, we are using open internet for communication. In the real world, you would have an LDAP server sitting on a local subnet, and this traffic really wouldn't matter. But for all intents and purposes, port 389 is a clear text port. This is a very insecure thing, what I'm about to show you. If you're ever going to do this over the internet, you wouldn't want to use LDAP, to be quite honest. You can configure SSL and go through a bunch of configuration steps to make it work and more secure. But that's why SAML exists, and Logan will kind of go over that next. But again, in a real world, only do this on an internal network with 10 dot or 192 dot addresses. You wouldn't want to do this over the wire. DN is a designator for a directory in LDAP. So instead of folder, they use DN, and bind DN is the link to the account that we're going to use to authenticate when we validate the user who's trying to log in. So for here, we need the administrator account, or in Active Directory, it would be any account that has the proper admin privileges. Since this is a demo account, I'm just going to use administrator. Go. I always have to go look for this. Here we go. And there should be an object. Here we go. Attribute editor. Here we go. Sorry about that. Took me a minute. There's all kinds of tabs in Active Directory, and you've got to turn on advanced stuff to be able to see the right tabs, and I just had to find my way. This isn't something I do all the time. In the account properties, there is this distinguished name, and this is what we want to use for that DN. So if we click on it, you'll see the whole thing. And when you break it down, it's just a really fancy way to make a folder structure. So starting from right to left, you've got the domain backwards. So it's local, wandernet, users, and administrators. So it's the wander.local domain in the user's container and the users or the administrator user account. So we copy that. Put this here. Oh no. Is it not going to let me copy over remote desktop? Oh, thank goodness. This bind-dn password is just the user's password. The user base DN, and then there's also a group base DN that we'll have to figure out. What these things are, they refer to those folders that I created to hold the groups and the users in Active Directory. Whoops. So for us, groups is going to be this folder, users is going to be here. Do users first, same process. If you go to attribute editor, this comes down and you've got the distinguished name. Copy this. User base DN. And then the group base DN will be the same. I'll copy and paste it just so we know. The default values here, you can use SAM account name.
Dustin, I'm sorry, I think it didn't grab the proper user base DN.
Oh, you're correct. Good catch. Thank you.
Very well spotted.
Yeah, thank you. That would have driven me nuts in about 10 minutes.
You're welcome.
Salmon, put this in the wrong one. The username attribute is the attribute in the account that stores the username. So if we go back to that attribute editor, I keep forgetting, you can scroll through all of these different attributes for the account. I guess not on a folder. Let me open up mine. And attribute editor. I'll scroll down to the S's. And you've got SAM account name. So this is the field we want to use to use as the login name. This is important with regard to authentication in Splunk because this is what will be used to create the folder in Etsy users. And if you ever migrate a system from on-prem to, say, the cloud, for instance, you need to make sure that the attributes you're using when you migrate are using the same fields. Otherwise, the folder names won't match and your migration is going to become a lot harder. Forgot where I'm at. SAM account name, real name attribute, CN is the default, so we'll use it. All of these other attributes can be left as default. You really only need to put values in with red ticks or asterisks, I'm sorry. We'll do the same thing here. Note to self, Command C doesn't work on a Windows remote desktop.
Ah.
Right click copy does though. Group attribute. Oh, CN, it's kind of the same thing as the users. Static member attribute. Oh, that's right. I can show you what this means as well. On here, if we go into one of these groups, we hit properties and you go to this attribute editor again, you can see there's all these same type of stuff, but there's one of these attributes that actually contains a list of all the members, and that is member. And you can see member UID is also available, but that's from a previous older version of Active Directory and it's no longer used. So we need to specify member here, and it contains just a list of all the members in that group and their distinguished names, where to reference them back in that same directory structure. Sorry. That should be all we need. So we've given it a name, specify the IP address or domain name where we can access the host, give it a port, specify the account we want to use to bind, set the password, tell it where to find our users, tell it what attribute we want to use for the username, and other attributes that are important to us. Repeat the same steps for where to find group memberships, and then we save our work. Error binding to LDAP. Dustin can't type passwords. That is not right.
Valid credentials. Everybody look.
This is the account that I want.
Yeah. Good.
That's right.
And that's the password
I don't have caps lock on.
for the administrator account, I guess. Yeah, good.
It's possible I just typed this wrong. I have too many passwords and I don't use a password manager properly. And I just created this today. There we go. I was just typing in the wrong password. Whew, that makes me feel a little better. All right, so we've got our LDAP strategy. It was able to reach out and bind, so we know that the authentication is going to work at least for that administrator account. If we've got everything configured properly, we should be able to now map the groups and then log in as one of the accounts that I have specified. So the next step is to map these groups. You can see it's gone out and it's pulled in the list of those groups that I showed you earlier, the Splunk admin, power, and user. And what we need to do here is map these to the right groups. So Splunk admin, we're going to make a member of admin. Power will be power. And user. Now that's done. The LDAP strategy is working. Come back here, we'll click reload authentication configuration just to make sure that it takes its settings. Come back here. We know it's working. Let me launch a new incognito window. And we'll go to same address. Oh, I don't know my password there either. There we go. All right. Don't show me this again. There we go. You can see I'm logged in as D Church. And because I'm a member of the admin group, I now see all of the admin stuff. And you can go see under users, we've now imported user accounts from all the users I have created and associated in the locations we specified in our LDAP config. So there you have it, guys.
Terrific. Congrats, that's fantastic.
I'll stop sharing now. Logan, you have the floor, sir.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Cool. So I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of SAML, the kind of platform of choice that I found. One, because they give a free trial so you can play around with this. As you can see, they give a 30-day trial. I have 24 days left on this. So I kind of wanted to go over that. There's a few different like settings within Okta once you get your account set up. Currently, I'm in the admin page. There will be a drop down in my settings and then admin. Well, I don't mind doing it. I'll just show you. So here's the admin. It'll always ask you for like an MFA. So let me get that in here real quick. And to set up your SAML, you will need to be within this admin environment. One, to create the users and the groups, and also to use the application. Luckily, Okta already has kind of applications built for Splunk. So you have a Splunk Enterprise and a Splunk Cloud as well. Today, just like Dustin, I like using Google Cloud. So this is just a search head, just kind of a basic thing as well. I have just the administrator account with no users created. So it's just a very basic install of Splunk. And so within Okta actually has really good documentation for this. I'll be sure to include the link in the stuff that goes out so you guys can see this. But if you search Splunk Enterprise Okta SAML, you'll get some great stuff. So within the admin dashboard and in the options, we have people and groups. So it's important to set up your people. So for the sake of this, Dustin and I have accounts. As well, we'll be setting up groups in the same fashion that he did with LDAP. You would create a group for Splunk power users. I have this group, Splunk admins, and this is the group that will be mapping from SAML to Splunk in order for it to come together. So the nice thing about SAML is it's fairly straightforward. If you do kind of a few steps right, the ending steps are a lot. They're very simple. Let me just bring this up here. So as the same method that he did, Dustin will come to authentication methods within Splunk settings, and you'll click here on SAML and configure Splunk to use SAML. So SAML is like a metadata type XML file that you use for certification. So there's two ways to get this file. One is by selecting the file, and it'll actually download it for you. So actually, did I get that right? I did not. I was trying to select the file. So we have this SP metadata. I'll go ahead and open that up here. So this is just, a bunch of jumbled up stuff. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is the way that SAML authenticates between. So we'll actually only need this portion of the text. And we copy that in here. The instructions are pretty simple. So we're actually creating a type of format that Splunk can read to connect with OKTA to map the SAML groups. So we're gonna actually save this as the, you can really name it whatever you want. So we'll just call it Splunk user group. .cert, as long as it's some kind of text file that we can use. So we have that saved. Switch over here. All right, and we're gonna go to the dashboard here, and we're gonna actually find the app that we want to use for. Sorry if I'm going a little fast. So under dashboards, you can come here, and it just kind of brings you to like the base page of the admin board. You can see different things here. You got your single sign-on applications, and then browse app catalog. And we're just go in here and find Splunk Enterprise. So as you can see, there's a few different things that you can Splunk kind of products that you can use within OKTA. Since mine is Splunk Enterprise, we're just going to use that today. And then we're going to kind of go through just some simple setups. So first off, I need my host name for this. Okay. And you do want to leave this checked in. So to be fair, like I said, my background is not in networking, and I don't completely understand 100% what SAML does, but I did follow the documentation, and it's actually really great stuff. And it works at the end of the day, and that's what's important. So yeah, we click next. And then there's some additional things that we'll need to fill out here as well. So I'll just look through my notes right quick. Okay, first thing we want to do within the roles, let me slide this over for now so we can see it a little better. This is where we're going to map the role from that we set in OKTA to what Splunk will be using. So I just use like a regex, and from before, you can leave the .star just to select everything. I was really only interested in making sure that I grabbed Splunk, and I think in a real world scenario, when you have OKTA and you're using it as your like authentication platform and you have multiple groups, you would be naming them Splunk. So just to make sure that it's more, I guess, direct and clear, the roles that you're trying to grab, this is what I decided on. Now we need to upload that certificate that we had earlier. And I think I named it, yes, this is the one we did today. And you'll click upload. And so this is your certificate. And you can see it kind of maps a little bit of what we had with LDAP. But we know that this certificate's good. We downloaded it from Splunk with just a normal text editor, adding the begin certificate and end certificate. You will get an error if it doesn't recognize it or something kind of goes weird with it. So you'll know that it's working that way. Settings here below. So we do have an entity ID. Let me continue right here. Tell you what. How do you hide this bar? Does anybody know? I always hate the zoom bar at the top where it has all the different things. Can you hide that?
You can drag it somewhere else, Logan.
Oh, yeah, let me try that real quick.
Yeah, just drag it down. It's easier.
It's a pain. Okay. Let's do one thing. I think there was a little step that I forgot. So let's go into the OKTA here. So I do need the entity ID. I can't remember what I named it. So Check real quick.
The entity ID just needs to match on both Splunk and in OKTA. So as long as what you're setting it in OKTA matches what you configure on the side of Splunk, and it's unique to this app in OKTA, you're fine.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Dustin, for making that. So here's what he's talking about. We're actually defining the entity ID here. And then on Splunk, we need to make sure that the entity ID matches on the OKTA SAML side. Thank you. Okay. We're going to click done because we need all these settings to be configured. We're going to go back here on sign on and edit. And why I'm coming back here is we actually need this metadata file, and we're going to bring it into Splunk. So we'll go ahead and download that. Sorry. You actually do need the entire folder, so it's a little bit easier if you just save the link. We'll call this metadata user group. Okay. And then on the Splunk side, we'll bring in the new metadata file that we have. And like I was saying earlier, you know, if you do a lot of these steps properly, and once you upload the XML, this metadata file, a lot of this stuff fills out for you as well. We need to turn to HTTP post. We need to list the domain. And redirect. Dustin, what was this port number again? I think you're muted. Dustin, you're muted, my friend.
Sorry about that. Thanks. It's just 0. We aren't actually using a load balancer. So since we don't have a load balancer port, leave it 0 and it'll just blank it out.
And do you need the port number on the fully qualified domain name or?
I think given that my Splunk instance doesn't actually have like we need the IP. I don't have a domain name per se for this.
Yeah,
that's
fine.
Right. It's saying to point at the load balancer. It's basically the DNS name that you want to redirect the user to once authentication is completed. So in our instance, since we don't have a valid domain that we're registered and we're just using IP and port, we need the full stanza there.
Okay.
right. So, and that's a good point. For example, like when we were setting this up at the, you can list a domain for this. So for example, if Bits.io had a dedicated Splunk, whatever we were using, and it was bitsio.splunk.com, you could obviously replace that with this. You wouldn't need your port if it is a fully qualified domain.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's a great point there. So we'll just kind of scroll through here one more time. All right. And I'll have to drag this bar again. Okay.
I don't remember if we need that HTTP or not. So if we have issues, we may need to go in and look at that FQDN again, just FYI.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So this is the group name that we are trying to map back through with SAML. And then we are, of course, setting the Splunk role that will map back to that group role. Okay. And we can actually come here to users. Oh, you know what? I think. Maybe right, Dustin. Oh, so you wanted to pop back up with it. Okay. Tell you what. I think
You may need to reload your authentication stuff. So go back to your authorization settings where you selected SAML. There you go.
yeah, that's all right. I think last time when we did it, we actually just logged out as well. So
I'd suggest opening a new incognito window just in
Yeah.
case you lose access to this.
yeah, okay. And that's what we do want to see. So as you can tell, I'm being brought now to the OKTA page for my authentication here. Just plug that in. Sorry. It's actually,
You didn't map yourself to that app in OKTA.
yes. There you go. That's the reason. All right. Yes. So under people, we need to assign people to it. So now we'll assign myself, save and go back. Done. So now I'm a part of it. I'm actually going to reload those settings again. Come to this file, go back. Yeah. Nice.
If you have a valid SSL certificate, you won't get that warning that he just saw. That's just because we're doing this in a lab environment that's not properly secured with SSL certs.
Yeah, for some reason, and we'll handle this afterward, but when I just use the Splunk default SSL, Google, at least my version of Google Chrome doesn't like it, and it won't let me connect. So typically for these, just kind of spin up and take down lab environments. I just use kind of the default there. So yeah, I'm glad Dustin's here. You know, like he helps fill in a lot of the gaps where I lack in this, but that was one of the things that we were missing. Definitely, you need to assign your users to the application within OKTA, and then from there, reloading your authentication configuration, it will properly work. So you can see I'm logged in as myself, and within the users here, that's where I exist. So again, if we were to add Dustin as well, he would show up in the admin role here. Did it actually load? Okay, be done. We'll reload those settings.
I'm not sure how SAML works since there's.
I remember from the
It may
past.
not be able to reach out and see those users until the first time.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is right.
Yeah,
So
you have to
I have-
log in first time to make that available. I
make
think.
that connection. Yeah, so that's a good point. So if Dustin were to log in, his name would show up here in the users, and then the same way it's here, the authentication method, his role as admin would be assigned. So yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of it. It's the instructions are rather simple. If you followed them like I did, would have 100%, I wouldn't have missed the group assignment, but it's kind of just like swapping XML metadata between OKTA, building it out with the user groups, and then sending it back to Splunk and re-authenticating. So
yeah, great job. You both made it look like a simple one, but I've been in the field where you struggle with the LDAP and you've struggled with the SAML. So this is great. Great job, guys.
and it is a struggle. I mean, like we said at the beginning, how many of us actually are the ones configuring SAML?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
hope at least that if you do have to do it, you know, like things like OKTA, you can mention to your clients like, hey, this is a great simple app that people can use. So
yeah. Awesome, great job. I recall from the experience, like we missed the dot star or dot something. Maybe we just put the star instead of the using dot star, so it didn't like it, and we didn't know what was going on. Just the dot was missing, so it wasn't obvious that it won't tell you that even. But I think after a day or two, we just figured out that's what it was missing. So
Very nice. Yeah, so we'll open it up for questions.
yes, yeah.
I just want to have a comment. Great presentation. Enjoyed it. I've played with SAML and LDAP before in the field, but haven't set it up from scratch. So nice to see. Just a comment for the people on here is the LDAP. I know Splunk says on that page it says use the admin account, right? But in real life, you can just use any account that can have read access to the user and group, because especially large companies are probably not going to give you a domain admin account. So
yeah, best practice is definitely not to use that administrator account, but because this was a lab environment that I stood up like this morning, it was just quick and dirty. In most environments, as the Splunk person, you won't even have access to go create accounts. So there'll be another person there that'll give you the details you need to create that bind.
yeah, demo environment. I was just saying for people when they go in the real world.
It's a good comment. It's good comment. It's good to give the best practices in the real time, right? So yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thanks so much. So somebody had a question. Can we assign a whole group instead of just people individually? Is it on SAML, Sebastian?
Yes. When Logan was assigning the
Users.
user individually, I set an option for adding the whole group. So I was just wondering.
I think so. We can definitely add. You could.
Yeah, let's check it out here.
Yeah, on that same screen where you are adding people, there's an option to add groups, and you could have simply just added the Splunk admins group there.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because you can define in your directory within the groups what people are assigned to the groups, and then within the app itself, you can assign the entire group. So I could have done that. Yeah,
No.
I would have been.
No, it's good. Yeah, it's good that you didn't do it that way. That way, questions came up, and we made it clear. So
yeah, I think this, if you have 50 plus people, you would definitely want to use a group setting instead of a people setting, because one click instead of 50 clicks is a lot better. So
All right, thanks.
yeah, absolutely.
Shanning, what's the question for LDAP? How does one go about troubleshooting not all users able to log in the context of nested groups equal to 1 and anonymous referrals as 1?
That is a question I don't know how to answer. I simply just don't know. I would have to go Google it. So I'm not going to be able to help much on that.
Sorry.
Oh, no problem. No problems.
I do have another question. If there is a new user, let's say that there is a new user on the account, and you guys will need to add that new user, should you do it from the OKTA app? And I mean, that user, it must exist in Splunk, or you just can create that new user from the OKTA and then reload the configuration after that user logins for the first time?
Yeah, so what you're saying is Joe joins our company, and we will have to add him to the group, but he's never logged into Splunk before, right?
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
So going into Splunk, your questioning is, how would he log in and Splunk would know?
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have a user on Splunk, but my question is if he needs to have a user in Splunk for him to be able to log in first.
Yeah. No, he wouldn't. So like I did before, and I showed you because I didn't assign myself to the Splunk admin group, and we saw that nothing existed here until I logged in. So if you do set it up in Okta, you would give, let's call him Joe Schmo at bitsioinc.com. We would give him his login, Joe Schmo at bitsioinc.com with his password. And then as soon as he logged in, the Okta Splunk connection will add him just like it did me. So if Dustin were to log in to this URL here,
Okay.
his name would appear.
Okay, so he
Correct.
basically he doesn't need to be in Splunk as a user, but he must, of course, be a user from the Okta side, right?
Right.
Correct.
And the
Okay.
way that you would do that, right, is like with the groups. So if we had, if you didn't want him to be an admin, you would create another group like Splunk users, and you would assign him to this group and have all of the groups mapped to Splunk, so that when he logged in for the first time, his role would be defined based on the settings that you have within the groups, right?
Okay.
So he would automatically be assigned any role, and this group name matches the group name here. So if we had Splunk power user or power, we would set that role to Splunk power, and he would live here, and Splunk would recognize it when he logged in the first time.
Okay. So that brings Dustin comment before about having this should match what we have in Okta.
Correct. If everything works as it's supposed to, you would only need to create my user account in Okta and assign me to the right groups, and I would
Okay.
automatically receive the permissions to log into Splunk. You shouldn't have to create anything on the Splunk side.
Okay.
Can you log in, Dustin, and we can actually see it?
Send me the URL in Slack and I sure can.
Okay. That's a common, I mean, I'm bringing that because that's a common case I've seen in Splunk as a technician. So that's what I'm bringing that up. And I didn't know that what I've seen normally, what people do is to create the user from Splunk, but they don't usually create the user from the Okta or the whatever IDP they're using. So that's a common mistake that I didn't know about, but now thank you guys. I know that.
Thank you. Awesome.
Let's get him in here. So yeah, and as long as the groups match, as long as the user's made, you can assign that password in Okta to that person. So Joe Schmo at Bits.io, you would hand it. Let's see here.
I think we have one more question too from Purush.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is like, when like after we integrated with the SAML, when we connect the Splunk, I think it will directly redirect it to the Okta login page, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, in general, like then how can the Splunk authenticated users can log in if we connect to the SAML? So basically, in LDAP, like I have connected with LDAP. So what I do is I have certain users which, just created in Splunk. Even they can connect, and the LDAP users also connect if we connect with the LDAP. But what in case if I connected SAML, so how can the Splunk users can log in?
So you are saying some of the users on LDAP and some of the users on SAML?
No. Let's say just we have integrated with the SAML.
Yeah.
So I have a Splunk user called admin, right? Which is not part of Okta.
Okay.
So basically, if you Carter, maybe if you connect to the Splunk URL in incognito mode once.
Okay. So I think there
I know
is
what you're asking, and yes, you definitely can do that. There is a URL trick to force local logins.
local login. Yeah.
One
You can
second,
do the
I
local
can get you a
login.
link.
So login type is local is what you have to type. I think I don't recall the exact.
Yep, it's
URL.
it's yeah. Here we go.
Oh, just real quick, I think it was Delroy. I gave Dustin his password in the background that was set up here.
Okay.
As you can see before, it was just me and the admin account, and he's logged in. So his account has mapped to SAML, and because he's in the admin group, it's been added.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's very good to see. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
no,
much.
we're happy to try anything out. So
Yeah, I think it's login type equal to Splunk. That's how you get it.
isn't there like a question mark, right?
It's the, yeah, so slash login and question mark login type equal to Splunk. Let me Slack you.
Before the login type would be the question mark.
Yeah, we got it right here. Thank you. So login question mark login types.
Okay. Got
I
it.
was trying to type that too, but you got it faster. Thank you.
I missed the sorry guys, I missed the account portion.
Well, you've got HTTP. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, sorry. Let's do this one more time. Let me
Maybe try an incognito window.
Yeah, that's fair.
So is that your question then, Purush?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's the local login mode, it's called.
Okay. Because when we connect LDAP, it won't ask, like we can log in the same screen. So I just want to know. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I actually had a client that we were troubleshooting SAML with, and I had to learn how to do that the hard way because we lost access for a little while. So that's a really good thing to bring up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm kind of doing this the long way. Okay.
That's fine. I think it's just taking the previous login.
Oh yeah, I think it's cached.
Yeah.
But I will tell you from experience that this works, because when Dustin and I were trying to do this for the first time, there was some weird stuff going on, and I had to log in as admin, and this does take you around the backside to log in. It's just like the base admin account. So
Yeah,
Perfect.
sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think we are the top of the hour. So, and there are no more questions. I think no more questions. MP has been quiet. My favorite person. Looks like everything is okay.
Thank you everyone very much for joining this and letting us give you a demo. It's been fun presenting to you.
I couldn't find my mute button here. I did have a quick question. This identity management stuff, when people are using Splunk in the cloud, do they have specific identity management they typically use in Azure or in Amazon or something that would be in addition to this or different than this? Or would they use SAML, but maybe not OKTA?
The cloud instances that I've seen have been identical to this. There's a few tweaks on the back end of Splunk Cloud, but the configuration's the same.
So wherever you want to put your users, you can put them, and then you can use these techniques to authenticate your cloud instance.
Yep, technology is the same on both enterprise and in the cloud.
Great, cool, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I think it was good to see you all. We will be publishing the recording too. We have the recording. So, and we'll come back with the more topics, maybe dashboard, new dashboard beta that was released. And it's not beta anymore, but I think we can do a few others in the future. Thank you. Bye.
Fantastic. Well done, guys.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey. Well done, Dustin.